All right, thanks for sticking around for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani tonight, but we have another great show for you, another all-star panel. Andrew Fillipponi from 93.7 The Fan, Chris Adamski from the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, and Steelers beat writer for the Post-Gazette, Ray Fittipaldo. And we'll get to the Steelers in a little bit, but I want to start out with the Pirates. Are they heading in the right direction? I know that's just a broad question, but since they fired Derek Shelton, Donnie Kelly's 7-8 right now. They're getting guys healthy. They're winning some games. They're competitive. They're scoring runs. Are they trending in the right direction?
Did you watch the end of today's game?
I did. I'm just asking you as a whole.
Pham?
Yeah.
No, he's still playing. They have Tommy Pham making $4 million, and he made another boneheaded play that cost them a game and an opportunity to win a series against a division rival. No, because they're not committing to some of these young guys who should be getting more at-bats and more opportunities. Absolutely not. I'm not going to say they're moving in the right direction. They still have the foundation with starting pitching to be a quality team, but everything else is missing. Bullpen, not complete. Lineup, one of the worst in baseball. No, I'm not saying because they had a winning homestand that they're moving in the right direction.
Is Donnie Kelly making that call about who's in the lineup every day, though? I mean, every GM has input into the lineups in today's analytical world.
Yep.
So, I mean, do you blame Donnie Kelly for that?
No, but I mean, do I also give him credit? I mean, he's not like saying over my dead body. He should probably draw a harder line with Tommy Pham. Well, I would. Well, today he's got more leverage than Ben Cherington.
Tommy Pham's
right
batting
now.
198.
I mean,
no one for one should be in the lineup.
Hurt. That's the only reason he's in the lineup. Now you could say he should have been cut. They should have brought up.
Yes,
but that's the problem.
Yes, Chris. Yes.
The problem is there's nobody in AAA to call up. That's the biggest problem, which goes back in the.
They don't have a guy at AAA that can hit 160 with no home runs. Richie could do that.
You see the prospect? I mean, every time they put somebody else in the lineup, it's usually a waiver claim, somebody else got DFA'd somewhere. Richie, you asked the question: Are they heading in the right direction? Now, is that in context to 3 weeks ago?
To where they are, 19 and 35. I mean, are they better off now than where they were a couple weeks ago when they fired Derek Shelton?
I mean, they're better off. They're certainly, notwithstanding Tommy Pham's base running, seem to be playing better. They're winning more games. They're scoring more runs, actually, finally. I mean, maybe actually this whole Spencer Horwitz has only been a week. Maybe actually, you write that off a little too early. Looks like it might be a decent acquisition. It's baby steps. I mean, right direction, it's all relative to where they were at the end of, the beginning of May or 2 weeks ago. But there's at least a little bit of, optimism is probably too strong of a word, but a little.
So I guess bringing up Tommy Pham, I mean, Pony, you signed this guy for a team that pinches pennies and doesn't spend money. Why do you waste $4+ million on this guy? Just save the money. Use it for next year.
Yeah, they don't look at it that way. I think there's a budget. I think they want to at least make it seem like they're giving an olive branch to their fans when actually it's a slap in the face when they make these one-year signings. Everyone knows the number. Everyone knows the stat. They haven't made a multi-year free agent signing since Nova, which is embarrassing. That's a decade ago now. So these guys, like it's the Rowdy Tellez effect. Tellez stunk for 2 months. He got hot in June. And I guess Ben Cherington is exercising the utmost patience with the guy. But I just hate the optics of it when you give a guy that has no future with your team, who's in his late 30s and played for 3 teams last year, this amount of at-bats. It's just stupid to me.
And they brought him in under the pretense, well, he's going to be good for the locker room. He's going to kick some butt down there. Well, you have Andrew McCutchen, who was on your team, 10 years ago when they were actually good. Why can't he be that leader? Why can't he be the guy to kick guys in the butt? So the whole reason why they brought him in, I thought was
it just goes back to the talent acquisition when he essentially had lost his job to Canario, who was a guy who again was waived or DFA'd, right before the season was starting, but by another organization, was given up on by 2 organizations the year before. He has been the starting left fielder above Tommy Pham. So no matter how you cut it, there's just not enough talent, not enough good players. It's been a failure in that area of the Pirates over the past couple of years now.
All right, so Ray, I mean, Ben Cherington had a press conference this week. Jared Jones is shut down with UCL, right elbow. We thought it was Tommy John, but it's only 12 months instead of 18 months. But someone asked the questions about Paul Skeens trading Paul Skeens, and I know some insiders out there want the Pirates to trade Paul Skeens. What do you think the Pirates should do in this situation? Should they even entertain an offer for Paul Skeens?
No, the answer is you build around Paul Skeens, but you do that in the offseason. There's nothing they could do right now at the end of May to make this team in 2025 any better. But if you're talking long term, yes, you build around a guy like that. You actually go out and spend money in free agency, which they haven't done, as Pony noted, in more than 10 years now. So yes, that's the answer. This guy's a once-in-a-generational type of player. You don't trade him away less than a year or a little bit more than a year into his career.
You talked about they sign a free agent. That's what I assumed. I think most people thought that this was the past off season where they would finally. I'm not talking about sign. I mean, Pete Alonso may have been talked about having for cheap, and he kind of did sign a little bit cheaper than you thought with the Mets. But somebody, not even a big name or an all-star caliber player, but just a veteran. Thumpy, middle of the order type of player. They could have got that.
Somebody like that.
Yeah, somebody like that. That at least give the illusion. And you come back with Tommy Pham. When you had Skeens going into this season, that was almost the time to do it. I saw it was you, and forgive me, I don't know if you were who the trade offer of like the Red Sox 5 top prospects, whatever it was. If it's something like that, you almost got to think about it and do it. But it's the point where it's just like, it's just so disheartening that the Pirates have an organizational play.
Maybe the Pirates should trade Ben Cherington.
Who wants him? To where? The Independent League? The Savannah Bananas? I mean, honestly, I don't know who would take him at this point. It's embarrassing that he's still the GM. You consider it because of this. You are not close to winning. And he only pitches once every 5th day. The schedule is 162 games. If he's not injured, he makes 32 to 33 starts. If you're a competitive team, if you're close, you never think about doing it. But everybody inside baseball says he would bring back the greatest trade haul in the history of the sport. So if you're slated to lose 105 games, why wouldn't you at least listen to that? I would. Now, I don't want Ben Cherington to make the trade because I don't trust him. But if I had someone competent in that seat and I was, looking at years before they're not going to spend money. Okay?
But this is your best chance to win with a guy like him, right?
I understand
you have 4
that,
years with this guy.
They're not going to become a team that spends $120 million a year, okay? Unless baseball comes in.
And that's nothing.
Well, right. So I don't see a shortcut for them to win other than making trades, draft and development. But by the time you draft and develop hitters, where's Paul Skeens going to be in his contract with the Pirates? A year or two away from free agency. So to me, it's a rock and a hard place situation for them.
Have Jimmy Johnson make the trade of Paul Skeens. They do like the Dallas Cowboys in 1989.
Right, the Herschel Walker deal.
Yeah, the Herschel Walker deal. You got something like that, it probably would be a smart move to do. It would be sort of a message to the fans. But I mean, the message has already been sent, right?
Paul Skeens is 10 times better than Herschel Walker ever turned out to be.
Aren't you tired of the Pirates kicking it down the road, though? I mean, it's always, hey, 5 years from now they're going to be good. The future. That's what it is. That's what it's been for the last 30 years.
And Skeens, I mean, the Jared Jones things is a cautionary tale. That'd be just like the Pirates to finally maybe get some position players or maybe sign a free agent, God forbid, or something this offseason. And then next spring, as Paul Skeens is going down to get elbow surgery or something like that. So in that case, too, that's another sort of argument that you could trade them, and it might not be a terrible move. They're not going to do it. They shouldn't do it, I guess. Although, I mean, with where they are, it's who they are. It almost makes a little bit of sense, right?
I wouldn't do it. I think you're going to get a haul in a couple years with them, too. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about ONeal Cruz. What do you do with this guy? All that and more next. Stay right there. All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani tonight. So what do you do with ONeal Cruz? He's going to be a free agent in 2029, just like Paul Skeens. He just hit the hardest ball in Major League history, well, since the StatCast. But shouldn't you try to lock this guy up, Ray? I mean, they've locked guys up the last couple years. Mitch Keller, Brian Hayes. I mean, some are good or some are bad, but, I mean, at least seriously talk to this guy.
I can make an argument ONeal Cruz is the guy you should trade. I don't know if you could win with guys like ONeal Cruz. I mean, everyone's talking about this 123-mile-per-hour home run. He also made an error that led to an unearned run today. So it's pretty much a wash. If you guys look at his WAR this year, he's basically a .9 WAR. There are like 175, 200 players with a better WAR.
Come on, numbers to the table.
I'm just saying, but I mean, he's not that type of player that you want to lock up to whatever, $250 million contract. That guy is basically.
But you need stars. This is a star town. I mean, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, they bring fans in the seats.
Pirates.
Well, how about people were talking about that triple the other day? Nobody else in Major League Baseball will get a triple. Well, he didn't even run hard out of the box. That's the problem with ONeal Cruz. Yes, he got a triple, but he was almost thrown out too.
I mean, a lot of this discussion we did last segment, I mean, Cruz is not as good as Skeens, but it's a similar situation where it's like they have him young and cheap now. They should be, if he's that good. The other problem with approaching him for an extension, though, is, he's going to, I'm not saying he's as good necessarily as Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but how much did he sign? I mean, you're going up to a numbers that the Pirates aren't going to do, that they're not going to be interested in doing. They probably shouldn't do, to be quite honest with you. But that's the kind of contract that he's going to demand or want at least, or want you to talk about to do it this early in his career, it seems to me.
I disagree with Ray. I think you can win with him. I blame the Pirates for why they can't. He's not a center fielder. He's playing there by default. They've got a utility man at shortstop who just should not be playing there every day. And they moved him, not that I thought he was going to be a good shortstop, but they moved him into a new position. He's 6'7". He's not a natural middle of the field player. He's a corner infielder or outfielder. The reason they don't want to move him to first base is because his arm is so good. So move him to left or right. My guess is if he played left or right field, the WAR number would be much better because his defensive stats would not be as ugly as they are. The issue is you have such a bad team, it necessitates you to play these guys in positions they shouldn't play. Brian Reynolds moves like Ray and Chris and I. He's not a good defensive player, but they already have Andrew McCutchen at DH, so they have to play him in the outfield. It's a poorly put together team. And I guarantee you, if he was on the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Cubs, no one would say this is not a guy you can't win with. He would look like a player that's worth $200 million. His OPS is over 800. That is actually very good in today's run-depressed environment. I do think he's a guy. Not that he's not going to be the best player on a good team, but he can be the second or third best hitter on a team like that for sure.
But don't you put your best athlete at
But I would
short or
trade him. I
center
guess
field?
I said all that, but I would still trade him because you're far away from winning. You're not close. So you need to get multiple good players back for one guy, in my opinion.
Start the cycle over. Another 5-year plan.
I know, but are you closer if you would go out and sign a couple bats? If they would spend the money, they would open up the pocket.
Do you think they will?
I don't think
Okay,
that they
so then
will,
why do we even entertain that idea then? We're dealing in reality here, not our
when
fantasy
are fans
baseball
going to wake
leagues.
up then? Are we
This was the time to wake up. You've got Paul Skeens for less than $1 million. You won 76 games last year for the second year in a row. The time to wake up was this offseason. Did the alarm go off? It doesn't look like it.
No,
right?
they're on a run for a worse season in 2020.
No, listen, the only time that the pressure is going to be put on them is if local politicians step up and, make it difficult on the Pirates with their lease or anything like that. But we're talking years and years down the road. To Pony's point, no, there's nothing that any of us can do short of not going to the ballpark. But people still show up in droves because it's a nice thing to do on a Saturday night.
Salary floor, salary cap.
They got to draft and develop and run their team like the Rays and the Brewers and the Guardians. And those teams, Jose Ramirez signed there, but for the most part, those teams, when their guys get close to free agency, they flip them and they get multiple good players back. When this team has tried to flip guys, they've gotten Bupkis back. They've made Jamison Tyone, Starling Marte, Josh Bell. They have made bad trades that could have replenished their organization with good players, Richie.
And a lot of the guys they gave the early contracts to were guys like Polanco or Tabata. Or
look at Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Not being very good.
Yeah.
You said lock up. Is that a good investment of $70 million?
I thought
How's the
Mitch
Brian
Keller
Reynolds $100 million deal looking right now?
Not
terrible.
Not, yeah, but at least they are locking guys up. I don't even know if you could afford to sign ONeal Cruz right now. I think that's the
If you had traded Brian Reynolds to the Yankees, David Bednar to the Orioles, and not given Ke'Bryan Hayes that money, your team would probably look better right now than it does, my opinion.
Younger.
But are you making the case of trade Skeens right now by saying that? By essentially you're advocating for those types of trades?
If you're getting like 4 or 5 major league players back, yeah, I'm advocating for that. But they probably won't, and it also would cause fans to probably take pitchforks and torches down to PNC Park.
They might already be there.
I would trade Cruz 100 times over before I traded Paul Skeens. That's the bottom line for me.
I agree with that. Yeah, you're just not going to.
I don't want to trade either one right now. Wait a couple years. Try to go out and sign a couple guys or trade for a couple guys and see if you can win next year. Try to build your team for next year. This year's already gone. They're a historically bad team.
So would you trade Keller then this summer?
I could potentially think about trading Keller to get something in return. To get hitters back.
See, here's the thing. If you make that organizational turn, which you could, it might be the right move, but it's already after you're in year 6 of what's the rebuild, year 9 since
you have to do something, Paul Skeens. This is your only chance
you have to sell this to Bob Nutting. Bob Nutting has to recommit to Cherington for the long term if you're going to let him start another rebuild, another teardown, essentially, which I think
you cannot do.
Yeah, so and Cherington can't do that and keep his job.
I still think you can rebuild without Cherington.
So it's not going to happen. Well, that's a whole nother, maybe another discussion.
All right, one team that's not rebuilding is the Steelers, but what are they going to do about their quarterback situation? We got some experts here, and we're going to talk about it coming up next. All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh. Steelers OTAs start this week. No Aaron Rodgers. Ray, what's going on? He's out there doing podcasts. He's in a different city every week, but he has all these personal issues that he can't sign with the Steelers right now.
He's doing Q&As and concerts. It seems like he's going to be here eventually, Rich, but when they start OTAs on Tuesday, Mason Rudolph will be QB1. I don't think it's going to last more than a week or two. I fully expect Aaron Rodgers to be here by minicamp.
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 You're saying minicamp.
It's either, yeah.
I think it's July.
What?
I think that.
See, I think that's a disgrace. Because right now he's out to Ray's point. He's now living his life. It doesn't seem like he's encumbered by what's going on in his personal life. It's a new team. This is not Ben Roethlisberger, year 16 with the Steelers. Doesn't matter if it's Matt Canada or Randy Fichtner. He knows the lay of the land. It's a 41-year-old on a new team. Get your behind here. Okay?
I agree with that.
Because a year ago, he was under contract. Didn't go to, well, I don't think he's going to minicamp. He didn't go to minicamp last year.
Show everybody that you actually
under contract,
show everybody
mandatory to do it.
Show everybody that you actually are trying to win here and putting your best foot forward. And I would say, I want him to be here by Tuesday. He probably won't be, but the next best thing would be to be here for the start of minicamp.
I would say over-unders right after minicamp ends. I think he'll wait till after, within 4 days after that ends.
There's not a lot of NFL business that goes on, though, after minicamp. That's
correct.
That's exactly why he wants to be there.
That's where GMs and owners actually get away from the game for 3 or 4 weeks. So the one thing about that, though, Chris, is if they have an agreement in place and he doesn't sign, he can go do his work with his receivers off on his own, and then you could somewhat live with that, I think.
But doesn't he have to get to know Arthur Smith's offense, or is it his offense that he's bringing in here? I mean, that's got to be that's got to be the #1 question.
But they got to get used to him then. So any way you slice it, to me, I want as much time. See, Brady hit the ground running with Tampa Bay. He broke COVID rules because he wanted to win there so badly. I'd like to see that same spirit from Rodgers, especially when the last time he did this, it blew up in his face. Okay, so why not do it? If it's going to be your swan song, I would say go all out and try to put everything you have left into this season. And it doesn't look like he's doing that so far.
Cared about his legacy. It's kind of gotten stained. I mean, even he seems a lot less popular amongst the fans than he was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And the last 3 seasons he had, between being injured, between the Jets stinking, between having 2 bad statistical years, his last one with the Patriots or Packers, sorry, and the last one with the Jets. You would think that his legacy, if that motivated him at all, you think he'd want to go out and have one good year with a roster you can talk yourself into, but at least being, if you get, Pro Bowl level quarterback play, you could at least, you're going to
and maybe dictate terms a little bit. Try to bring in another receiver or someone else that he likes.
And I think that'll happen. They need a receiver, let's face it. But the one point about Arthur Smith's offense, Chris, you were there every day. I'm not going to call him a micromanager, but he did not let Justin Fields or Russell Wilson do much at the line of scrimmage. He's going to have to let Aaron Rodgers do that. Super Bowl winning quarterback, 4-time NFL MVP. I think Arthur Smith is going to have to cede a little bit control if that does happen.
All right, so we got to take a break. When we come back, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign, who are the Steelers looking at? We'll see what these guys think coming up next. Right there. All right, so if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign with the Steelers, Pony, who does? I mean, Kirk Cousins, there's that rumor if he gets cut, the Steelers are monitoring that. Would you want him here?
No. I mean, Kirk Cousins has the same issues the Steelers do. He's old and he doesn't win in the playoffs. So why would you want to hitch your wagon to that guy when there's, to me, no upside, no long-term growth potential with him? So I would just go Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Skylar Thompson would be my quarterbacks.
That sounds a lot like that old and hasn't won the playoffs, at least for the last 15 years. Sounds a lot like Aaron Rodgers,
you're right.
too, actually.
Yeah,
so
that's why I don't want him.
There's really not much difference in that either. So, I take him at face value that Mason Rudolph's a fallback option. So I think if Rodgers falls through, he's going to be the starter week 1, and they'll bring another veteran in to sort of whoever it is to be a placeholder. But
Yeah, listen, the Steelers are never going to tank, but if they do have a bad year, it's going to happen organically, and that would be the scenario, right? Aaron Rodgers doesn't come for whatever reason, and maybe you win 6 or 7 games, and maybe you're picking in the top 10 or 12. That's how they can get their franchise quarterback of the future. But anybody else who's out there,
Real quickly, is someone?
Carson Wentz. No, I'm sticking with Mason. I'm going with Mason.
You need another quarterback, though, right?
they bring in a veteran, yeah, whether it be.
But Aaron Rodgers is going to sign. What was your percentage last week that we talked about? 90? No.
Kenny's going to get cut by the Browns.
And then they're going to re-sign it.
65 or 70.
All right, 60. I'm still at 80. All right, just when car buyers could really use a lucky break, along comes employee pricing at #1 Cochran Ford. That's right. You get the same extraordinary discounts as if you worked in a Ford factory. And remember, these savings are on top of #1 Cochran's already reduced clear-cut pricing. Plus, you can choose from more than 700 new vehicles across their 5 Ford stores. Get your employee pricing at #1 Cochran Ford and Cochran.com. Not a lot of time. The tush push is here to stay. Was it a good thing? The Steelers didn't want it, it seemed like.
I don't like it, but it's here to stay, or it's here for 2025. So the Steelers better practice it, and they better be good at it.
If the league cleared it from a health perspective, there's no proof of injury, so I don't know how they could. We clearly be targeting the Eagles, so they had to keep it. It seems.
I think it's a way for Will Howard to get on the field. He was a great running quarterback at Ohio State. Let him, as a 6th-round pick, run those plays.
Yeah, or someone else. It doesn't have to be the quarterback. All right, thanks a lot, guys. For Ray Fittipaldo, Chris Adamski, and Andrew Fillipponi, I'm Rich Walsh. Have a great night, great week, and we will see you later.